hope you are having an inspiring day. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. Today we are approaching a topic that is quite the doozy. And I feel like it's a super important topic that doesn't really get as much love as it needs to. I get it because it's considered boring, but it is hella important. And that is your finances and your taxes. So I'm in my mid-20s now, and I don't know about you, but I feel like I do not know nearly as much as I should about my taxes and my finances. If you're like me, your parents maybe did it for you when you were younger, but now being an adult, need to kind of do it yourself. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they do not teach this enough in school, even though it's something that we should all kind of really know how to do. So if some of you don't know, Dave and I just bought a brand new house here in the city, and now more than ever, our taxes and our finances are so important. I've also learned that doing your taxes isn't really a chore, but it can also be a really big benefit in terms of cost saving and keeping more money. Who does not want to save more money? Because I know I do. Life ain't cheap these days. So quite honestly, I tried to find more information about doing your taxes, but I found everything so confusing and using all these big jumbo words that I didn't understand. But I recently got introduced to this free program. I will be honest, I was kind of skeptical because anything in the word free in it always gets me on edge. I'm like, is it really free? So Turbotax actually reached out and they actually asked me to review their product, try it out. I feel like the program is super easy to use, really straightforward. I love how it kind of asks you the questions throughout the flow and you kind of always know where you are in the process. I feel like taxes and finances and all of that are like really intimidating and really daunting, but Turbotax Free actually makes it kind of fun. I sort of feel like I'm just answering questions to somebody who's asking me in plain people terms. I also love that, going through the entire process, it really is free, which is the biggest thing, because investing in an accountant or something like that could be really helpful, but for you and me who are just starting out in our adult lives, I feel like free is something that we need right now. Also, there's really nothing to lose in trying it, which is why I did. If you're trying to get a handle or doing your taxes for the very first time, I would definitely check out Turbotax Free. Try it out. It really is super simple and really fun to learn. And again, I double, tripled, quadrupled checked, and it is absolutely free and there are no charges to go through the program. If you do want to try it out, I will leave a link down below. So apparently the average refund for a Turbotax Free filer last year was $1,210, and I don't know about you, but I could definitely go for $1,200 right now. So I'm gonna kind of do a screen share sort of thing. I figured that'd be a really good way for both of us to kind of walk through the program. I'll show you all the steps that I'm kind of taking to file my taxes. But I hope that you like this. If you do, and you like sort of like tips and life hacks like this, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to comment below if you have any interesting tips or tricks in terms of taxes and your finances. I feel like we could all use the help together. And without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, so let's get started. First, you're going to have to create an account in the Turbotax program. Once you've created your account here, you're going to start my return. Since I already have a login, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Once you log in, you're going to see all these different options. Make sure to just scroll to the bottom and choose the free option. I'm liking that $0 sign. Next, you're going to come to the welcome page, and it's going to go over a couple different things, but they're going to ask you some questions. So first, who you're preparing the return for. For me, it's just for myself. And then you're going to enter your name. It's going to continue by asking your marital status. Next, it's going to ask you if you have any children or you financially support anybody. You're just going to keep going through the flow and answering all the questions that it asks you. You're also going to put in your name, your SIN number, your citizenship, and all that jazz. But what I really like is that they make sure to remind you that your data is protected, and they use the same sort of security as your bank does. It's also going to ask you if it's your first time filing your income tax return with the CRA. I love that if it is your first time, they make sure to kind of welcome you and say, hey, first timer, and it kind of gives you some extra little information. It's going to ask you a couple more questions like what province you live in, but I really love that it prompts me with questions instead of just asking me to fill in a form so that I'm really understanding what's going on. And at the end of entering all of your personal info, it's going to give you this summary, which I love because it kind of goes over all of the answers that you gave, and you can go back and edit it if you answered them wrong. I love that it's giving me this information on Canada's latest tax changes. Let's be honest, you and I do not keep up with these things, so having them here in a way that I can really understand is super helpful. Another thing I love about this program so far is that it actually shows you your progress as you're going through it, so you know exactly where you are in the process and how far you still need to go. Another thing that I found really interesting was that if you have the CRA's autofill My Return, you can actually import all of your current year tax information from the CRA into this tax return, which makes it super simple. These are things like your T4s, T4As. If you did click on the autofill My Return button though, you can skip inputting all of your T-slip information manually. And after you click continue, you're going to get this little pop-up that helps you navigate and find and enter all of your tax information, tells you to gather your T-slips, receipts, and any other tax documents that you'll need to enter. Next, it's going to ask you about the income that you're reporting, and you can use their find tool to decide which document that you have and which one you need to enter. I love that throughout the entire program, they've got this little blue link thing that you can click on at any time if you're not really sure what something means. For example, they've got that need some suggestions or not sure what to search for, and you bet I clicked on both of those. Next, it's going to ask you about your RRSPs, and if you're like me, you didn't really know what those were, and I love that they've got this little description here, and if you want or are interested in these, you can go to your bank and learn more about them there. I would definitely look into RRSPs. If you don't already have them, you could probably go to any of your banks and they'll give you more information. So you've got this RRSP optimizer that actually lets you see what effect purchasing RRSPs have on your tax return, which I think is super cool and really helps you to plan your RRSP investments properly. And if you do have an RRSP or PRPP to report, this is where you would insert your information. Time for deductions. So these are common costs like medical expenses, public transit passes, TTC, what up, and student loan interest, things like that can actually shrink the amount of taxes that you might owe. So here is your deduction summary. I didn't put any of mine in here just because I wanted to show you guys how it works. So I didn't actually know this, but that part, everything before was for our federal return, and now they walk you through the provincial return and look for ways to get your biggest refund possible. Who freaking knew there were two different returns in this whole shebang? So I didn't actually know this, but apparently different provinces have different tax credits. And for example, Manitoba offers a tax credit to renters, and I think we all need to move to Manitoba now. This is where it can sometimes get a little bit confusing, but I love that there are links for each of these little check boxes so you can click in, learn more, and they also offer a really, really great explanation for questions that you might already have, like, why don't I see all my Ontario credits on my return? This is super cool because it actually prompted me and told me that I might qualify for the 2018 Ontario Trillium benefit, and any money coming in, I am totally down for. So you can read more up on it and apply if it makes sense to you. So for me, next was this payments related to my principal residence, so the address, the amount of months that I've been there, amount that I've paid, and things like that. So you'll get prompted the questions that make sense to you and your specific province. And I cannot believe that we're almost at the end here, but I love that it has this review section that kind of brings you back to everything that you've answered just to make sure that you didn't miss anything. And at the very end, if you do want to take advantage of it, you can actually have a tax expert review your entire return before you file. But if you don't want to go for this option, you can also click on the help button at any point. But for me, I actually think I'm going to look into this because $79.99 is definitely cheaper for me than getting a dedicated accountant or specialist at my beck and call, and they are available pretty long hours. And at the end, it's going to go over any of the errors that you might have had throughout the return, which I think is amazing because other programs, you can kind of just put in the information and you don't know if it's right or not. So this is definitely helpful if you are new to doing taxes. And lastly, it's just going to ask you to verify your personal information, and you're going to go ahead and file. For me, since not all of my information is in here, I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But I love how simple this program honestly is.
If you like this video or empathize with me in the case of not knowing how to do your taxes, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And make sure to comment below and let me know your approach to doing your taxes or your finances, if you have any cool tips or tricks. And here's to taking control of our life and our finances, giving us the freedom and opportunity to do the things that we love to do. Thank you so much again for watching. I feel less alone somehow in this fear of taxes just by talking to you. If you are new to the channel and haven't subscribed, you can join the Inspire family by subscribing below. And with that, I hope you have an inspiring day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!